but I am testing new tools to be able to be here with you every week with good success. So thank you for those of you who are here with me. I was here checking the comments and seeing your names. Thank you very much. I'm sure we are going to have a very interesting discussion. I was preparing some topics for us to discuss today because I'd love to focus today's talk on the out of body experience, but on how to produce it at will. Of course, when we talk about the out of body experience or astral travel, conscious, we may focus on different aspects. What sort of environment we are outside the body, what mechanism operate there when we are focusing our vision and our parasenses of the astral body to perceive the non-physical world. There are so many different aspects for us to focus on when we talk about lucid conscious experience. We also could address how we communicate with other spirits. We also could address how we control our astral body in terms of going from one place to another, choosing which dimension or frequency we are going to manifest in. All of that could be a focus. But for each of these topics, we would need a good 1 hour, 1 hour and a half to focus on them. I have chosen for today the focus on how we can detach consciously for the body. So tips on how to produce the conscious out-of-body experience. Is that good with you? Because there are many different aspects, of course, that we need to master and focus on when we talk about controlling the disconnection of the astral body. That is challenging because, well, we need to be with the physical body in the perfect type of relaxation if we are going to produce it at will. We need to be with our mind and our focus, concentration, in the right angle and in the right intensity. If it's too much, we don't leave the body. But if it's too little, we just fall asleep and lose control of the focus of our awareness. We need also to control our emotions, because if we are excited or if we get happy because we are sensing whatever vibrational state, if we jump too much into the celebration, bam, we come back to the body, or we don't manage to leave. And we need also to control, of course, the lucidity per se, the brain, and the energy. So the fourth aspect, the energy. Because the looser the energy, the easier to detach. But in addition, if the energy, and energy the energy of our chakras, which connect the physical and the non-physical body, if they are too dense, if they are still not flexible enough, what is going to happen is that we do detach, but we don't go further. We stay kind of stuck there very close to the body. I'm not talking about the sleep paralysis. I'm talking about you starting to disconnect, but not managing to go further a certain step. So all of these aspects are important. In my opinion, there are two key aspects that they need to be there from the beginning. Number one is relaxation. I'm not going to focus on that today, except if you really need to ask me something. But I would love to focus on something more complex than the relaxation, which is focusing on how we use our concentration, because we cannot get distracted, but we cannot concentrate too hard. So let me give you some tips on that. I see that a lot, for example, when I am teaching individuals. Of course, we teach in classes and we see how people react when in a group they are working to try to leave the body. But especially in the course that we give at the IAC campus, that is the VIP training. It's only one student, and then it's Wagner Allegretti and I working with that person to help in whichever the person wants to develop. And then sometimes it's unblocking chakras, sometimes it's having new ideas like original ideas, sometimes it's becoming more sensitive. Let me stop here the sound of my phone. Okay. So from that experience of dealing with one single student for many days, so it's 10 days in a row, what I have learned is that once we get the proper relaxation, and of course we keep doing energy work, I assume those of you who are here with me already heard me talking about that loads of times. I especially recommend VELO because it works for self-defense, but also to increase psychic awareness and also to make our energies more flexible. If you are here for the first time and you do not know what VELO is, take a look at the video I have. VELO, it's VELO, stands for Voluntary Energetic Longitudinal Oscillation. It's a method that I have developed based on ancient methods, but I have done quite deep research to be able to develop that. Why? Because I saw how much it was working with me and I wanted to bring that forth. So if you do that, if you work with VELO and your energy is in good condition, then look what comes, and there comes the trick part, the tricky part. That is, you are there concentrated. You are doing a technique. I assume you've chosen a good technique. You have to know what technique works for you. If you do not know, never mind. Just do loads of techniques until you see which one works well for you. And you will keep exercising and exercising. Then, until it comes a point in which you are focused on the technique and you have to try it for some time. Most people, they would like the technique to work in 15 minutes, 20. Well, you can be lucky and have that once in a while, but usually it takes longer until there is this complete looseness of our energy and all of the different energetic threads that connect our astral body to the physical body, they are loosening up or loosened up. But what happens with the concentration? If you are concentrated on the technique and on leaving the body, at the very moment that your body starts to detach, starts to disconnect, if you continue focusing too hard on that, 99% of the times you will prevent the projection. So look what I'm saying here. Let me put that into an example. You are there, you are relaxed, you are doing a certain technique, and your mind is, I want to get up or to get out or to float up, whatever. And then you sense the process starts. How do you sense it, or how will you sense it? There will be specific sensations that will come depending on each specific session of technique you do. But you will probably start sensing some cold waves flowing through your spine. You may sense that you lose connection to your physical body, almost as if you can no longer sense the body. And other sensations like vibrational state, or you feel like you are floating. All of this is still the beginning of the beginning, even if you feel you are floating, because sometimes we feel floating, but we are here very close to the physical body yet. So at that moment, when you are there, what you should do is let go of the strong concentration. It's not fall asleep, it's just to observe. What I mean is you shift from an active internal attitude that you were having up to then. How? By doing the technique, by focusing on your relaxation, by having your mind what your goal was, to allow yourself, it's not even the astral body, don't think of the astral body, to allow yourself to see and experience the world beyond the limits of your body. That's your goal. That's what you want. And you keep that in mind. So you are with all of that in mind. But when is the very moment that the disconnection will happen, my suggestion is let it happen. Don't try to interfere. Don't try to push. Most people, they try to help the disconnection to go faster, to interfere by going upwards, like by floating. So then they think as if they were going to stand up or sit up in bed. Why do we think like that? Because usually when it's morning, that's how we get out, right? We just go and stand. We That's the only way. There's no way, no other way for us to get out of bed. But think, when you are detaching from the physical body, you are going into an astral, non-physical adventure. It doesn't matter how your body and yourself reacts here in the physical world. It doesn't matter the limits of our physiology or our anatomy of our bodies. It doesn't matter the limits of our senses. It doesn't matter, for example, the laws of physics. Completely different laws operate in the non physical dimension and in the process of detaching. Because of that, sometimes when we try to help or push out, we end up doing it too soon or too late, or we do it in a way that we are pushing too hard. Or let's say that you would be disconnecting through all of that process that you have already created by practicing the technique that you were doing at that time. So that was going in a way that you were going to sink, or you're starting to sink instead of lifting. Can you see what I mean? Or you are sliding as if like with a slime, and you are going to the side. So is that right? Is that wrong? No, that's normal. There are different ways that our astral body may detach. And in each day, it's different. Sometimes there could be one of us that we limit the different possibilities because we are always expecting something. And that is the problem with holding concentration and being active. Because if the part of your non physical body, your astral body, that is more loosened, just for the sake of example, is the upper part of your body because the chakras there are more loosened, and that's how it happened in that day. Then these will start lifting up sooner. But there are days that it's your leg that is looser. So then you start going like upside down. There is nothing wrong with any of them. But if you have an expectation and you are trying to control, even if it is to help, you may interfere and push in the wrong direction, or speed up, or try to speed up something that was developing in a different pace. So that can be a problem. In this case, those of you who are very experienced, you definitely may try to act on that moment. When we try to interfere, even if it's to push further the disconnection, and we are not very experienced, we may not know exactly what process is going on in that disconnection or how it is developing. For example, someone who is very experienced have had quite a few conscious disconnection from the body. So I'm not talking about being lucid outside the body only. I'm talking about having a continuous conscious projection from the moment the person lies down, everything remains conscious, and then little by little, person start getting more and more lucid until detaching from the body. In that moment and in that condition, what happens is that the person will most definitely know how normally the disconnection develops. But not only that, but also know to recognize each sensation. So now, for example, let's say I would think, now the vibration state is still not intense enough. It's going to take longer for me to leave the body. So if I have experience with that, I know I will remain, I will try to adjust the intensity or the frequency of the vibrational state to push me out of the body. So I will be able to adjust. Or I will know, today is going to take longer. My mind is not so focused, so I will stay calm. I will know what's going on. But if the person is not experienced and try to help, to interfere, to do some action, the person may end up causing more conflict in terms of how that is developing and what the projector, the person, I mean the projector, is trying to produce there. So that is very, very much key for one who wants to control the out of body experience, the lucid out of body experience from the moment of detaching from the body. If you can relax enough for longer enough, you can just observe the projection happening. So let's say you are there in your bed for 2 hours and you cannot sleep. There's something that we call insomnia, right? Insomnia normally is when we want to fall asleep, we feel restless, we feel we need that sleep, and we are fighting with that. If you want to leave the body, you cannot fight with that. You have to learn to take advantage of it. And then you think, I'm going to let my body relax so I recover physically. Your mind needs to relax. So you think also, let me just focus my mind, focus, and I will let my brain waves go down. But you cannot sleep, right? The whole point was you had insomnia. You cannot sleep. So you will continue in that situation, holding, observing, but letting yourself to go deeper and deeper into the feeling, look what I'm talking about, of the physical body going into a deeper relaxation. It's not you, it's the physical body. And then your brain is active. You cannot engage sleep, but you will allow that. Very possibly, you can witness one of these disconnections from the body because there will be a point of relaxation in which it will happen, it will start. So try to give yourself that chance if you ever have this experience. Oh, I cannot sleep at all. So, well, take advantage and check when is it that you focus too much your attention or not. What I would like you to learn in this moment is what we do with our brain when we think, when we bring more the intention of having more rational or type of thinking or a type of thinking that raises your brainwave. For example, you know when you are almost falling asleep, you are almost losing the awareness of the physical body. And I'm not talking about projection, I'm talking about only falling asleep. But if you are too tired or if you have some preoccupation, at the moment that you start letting your mind go, immediately you come back. You wake yourself up because you're starting to relax too much. Have you ever had this experience? It's almost like you recognize your brain waves are touching a deeper sleep. You bring yourself again to a higher level of brain functioning. What we would like is to observe our brain reducing the activity and not bringing us back to higher level of physical awareness. You want to hold in there until the process of disconnection from the body starts. If you can do that, you will learn a lot from your sensations there, from how you react to the energy around of you, how you sense the energy of your environment, what you can do in terms of using the energy of your environment in your favor to be able to project consciously, like connecting with that, being conscious of that, feeling the welcoming of your non-physical environment there, or recognizing it's not welcoming. If it's not welcoming, you will work with the energies and learn what to do to prepare your environment. I have one video I have published here that I recommend very much. That is how to cleanse the energy of your house, or something very close to that. That is the topic of the video. If you feel your environment is not so welcoming, or you don't wake up feeling necessarily your best, and that is too often, try to do that technique. Work on the energies of your bedroom, for example, so that you have higher chances of having the lucid, conscious disconnection from the body. So it's beyond being conscious out there, it's a plus. It's a projection in which you start from the moment you are sleeping inside your body. That's what it is. Does it make sense? Yes? So good. Let me see your questions here. And in the meantime, I'll see here what you are commenting, that you guys are chatting. So now I'm curious to know about it. We need to do some talks via Zoom, or perhaps one day, look if that sounds good to you. We could have one of you. I'd love to have someone who have done the consciousness development program, because then we can go deeper into topics. But if one of you who have done that would like to have a chat and ask questions, maybe we can do it. I can bring you in the streaming, and you ask your question directly and I can answer. And we can have one talk just with that. I think that would be very nice. I'd love to be able to hear you and see you, not only read what you write. After some time here, I already know you, so you just write, and I feel like, I remember your previous questions, I remember your comments, and I do. Yeah, I get to know that. So Eber is asking, how does one hold without jumping back to lucidity? Body sensations like my mouth, filling with saliva and swallowing, thinking that it impedes me. It is difficult. Oh, I understand completely, Heber. What you're talking about is a step before what I'm talking about. It's excellent, your question, because allows me to clarify. Because when I am at the point that the body is super, super relaxed, and that is the right point for us to practice a technique. Before that, well, depending on the technique, it may work, but most of the techniques, it won't work. And when we are at the point that we feel saliva in our mouth and we have to swallow again and again, or we feel like a little scratch and then we have to move, and then let's say our elbows start being uncomfortable, we adjust the elbow. When we are at that point, is because we are not yet at the right level of relaxation. You will notice that when we are in a REM phase of sleep, so we are dreaming and we are having some physical reactions, we tend to produce saliva, to move our eyes, and sometimes even to move in bed. But when we are in a deeper sleep, none of that happens. We need to put our bodies in a deeper sleep so that we have more success. So I totally understand what you are saying. And it's quite unavoidable, right? Because if you have saliva disturbs you to relax, and then you relax, you want to relax, not to have so much saliva and have to swallow and have to breathe in. So what you need is to find a different technique to start with that will take your attention out of your body completely. And sometimes there are techniques for relaxation that they are focused on relaxing part by part of the body. Some people, they sleep before they conclude. Is that your case, Heber? When that is the case, that's hard, because then what it means is the person is conscious and conscious the whole time, too conscious, right? Too much in control. But then when the relaxation starts, bam, lucidity is shut down. And from that point on, there is no longer a conscious, active action towards the technique or even towards relaxing. So, what you have to do is find a way for you to go from beginning to end in the relaxation technique. Do not allow yourself to sleep in the middle. How you will do it? Try to be in different positions when you are trying to leave the body. For example, if you normally do lying down, try to put several pillows so that you are kind of reclined, still in bed. Try to adjust your body in a different position or sit in a recliner. Of course, it has to be a comfortable recliner. If it's a chair that you have to hold your weight and your muscles, then it's not going to work. But if it's a recliner that your feet are up and you can totally let go of your body, it may help you, because it completely shifts the way we sense our body. And then you may be able, but that's not you. I don't even know if that happens to you, but in general, That will be the case in which the person, by being in this position, would have higher chances of doing the relaxation technique from beginning to end in a completely lucid way. If we can do that, we have much bigger chances of having result. And as for the saliva and being agitated, I would love to know, Erber, if you do some VELO a little before you try the technique, because that helps loosen up the energy so the relaxation comes faster. So it doesn't give you time to be uncomfortable with your body. So try these tricks and see how that changes. Then you tell me in one future video, and I'd love to hear what happened, how it progressed, and give you tips directly. Is that okay? Ron was commenting, one obstacle that I have to working on OBEs is the Eastern wisdom teaching that the self is an illusion. My way of interpreting that, and it's my way based on my observations, how the self is an illusion. That is meant to the self that only knows oneself here in this reality. So, right now, Ron, for example, we may find a situation of our lives very hard to take, or very good, or very important, but the focus we have on ourselves and our lives, and I'm not saying that for everyone, but I'm trying to see how to interpret this sentence that the self is an illusion. The focus we have in our lives in the world is limited. So how far can we see? Even if we sense the non-physical spiritual dimension, it's only a layer. Even if we have the conscious projection once in a while, well, it's in once in a while, and it's in specific dimensions. We do not know ourselves completely. So the self that we know here, me, Nanci, right? Well, who I am in this body, part of that is an illusion. But part of who I am here, it's something that I bring with me for many lives. There are many characteristics that they are with me for many lives, and I am working on them and I am developing, and I know what I need to improve. So, in that sense, self is not an illusion, because when this self is projected in the spirit world, this self is continuing evolution, is completely aware of what was the previous life and lives before. So, in this sense, self is not an illusion. But in the sense that here in this life, because we are only seeing a limited fraction of reality, we may overvalue things, and we may identify ourselves with certain things that they are just an illusion, they are temporary, they are what we've learned, they are what our culture taught us. In this sense, it is an illusion. And there is a lot of this wisdom from different areas of the occults, or even some teachings and philosophical thoughts. All of them, they are valid, but sometimes they come from the basis of how we observe the world. This world is an illusion because we look around, for us this is reality. Well, is it? Of course, right now we are with the physical body, it is. But if the physical world, planet Earth, were to be destroyed by some huge meteor that comes, and then life on Earth is mostly destroyed, or it ends, what then would happen to us, consciousnesses who inhabit this planet? We would see a completely different reality. If we don't die, then where would we go? What would happen to us? We would then realize that what for us before was our world was an illusion. And because of this fixation we have in the physical world and in this moment, it creates a situation in which many times people pass through the biological death and they try to relive or continue what they were living in their physical lives from death on. So they don't even realize they are already in a non-physical life. That's not the case for everybody, but it's the case for a good percentage of the population we have in this planet. So there are loads of videos here for you to study with this topic if you want. Take a look. Life after death, what the non-physical world is made of, who inhabits the non-physical world. So I try to explore the spirit world, life beyond life, but also our life here, because look, to understand what is in there, we have to understand what's here. And to understand what we are doing in this life, we have to understand who we are beyond this life. We have to understand death. So, combining them both and finding a good balance in our everyday life, to know the limits of how much we know ourselves and be sure of that, and to know the limits of how much we can still get to know ourselves better and therefore reduce the illusion. So going more towards self-knowledge. So that was a question about out-of-body experience, and there I go into the explanation of evolution and lucidity, but it was the only way to answer that. Okay, Ron, thank you for bringing that up. Erber is just sharing. I'm going to just read his comment here. It's nice. I feel the vibrations and then I get a bit excited and then I stop feeling it. Well, I totally can understand that. And I bet many of those who are here with us can as well. Is that right, guys? We do feel like, yes, now it is a wonderful feeling. And sometimes the vibrational state can be amazing, can be an experience in itself that it's worth lots of smaller type of experience or simpler ones. It's wonderful. Thank you, Heather. And then you guys were commenting about a book. Okay. And then I have Ivan. And I'm going, oh, Eva, I do not know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Excuse me for a moment. So here Ivan is saying, I am in Indiana. I'm 35 now. And when I was younger, around 18, 25, I was fairly skilled at projection and lucid dreaming. Wonderful. I've completely lost it. My expectations and experiences are likely what is preventing me from doing it anymore. But I don't know how to not anticipate. Of course, because it's unavoidable for you, right? You are practicing or you are trying, and you are thinking of the other times that you had the lucid separation from the body, and you are anticipating the feeling of going out or the different sensations that for you would probably come because you have already experienced them. What I suggest in this case is that you try to study all the many different types of sensations you can have and many different types of projection. So that in your mind, instead of having as a reference your experience, like those experiences that you have had, which is a wonderful reference and the most important of all, but almost as if you would add some glossary, some different perspective on the experience, so that when you are hoping it's going to happen, when it's close and you feel it's getting close, you no longer anticipate the sensation. Because anticipating or feeling of anticipation of the experience is like you are eager. Yes, it's coming. Yes, no, I'm starting to sense it. So this, there is only way for you to handle it is with lots of VELO, because VELO is going to make your energy so loosen that the projection happens sooner. It doesn't give you time to go to that point. But other than that, most of the time we have an expectation or anticipation of what we are going to feel, or where we are going to go outside the body, or who we are going to see ourselves with when we are projected. And that is quite complex. We do need to adjust that in our mind. So what I would say is loads of VELO technique, loads. So you get, for example, Ivan, 1 week or 2 weeks in which you are going to do the technique, let's say 10, 15 times per day. And one of them, a long one, let's say before you go to sleep. In the beginning, it's like, wow, it requires a lot of discipline, but you keep doing. So your energy start getting more flexible. It changed completely the connection of your physical body and the astral body. So what you would previously have to go through at the moment of detaching, so the whole process, it's changed because half of it is already done. So that is quite important in this case here. And you do it for 15 days, and then you tell me what started changing. Another thing I want to comment very briefly here, because I have a whole video about this. You can take a look. It is, I think it's recess of the astral projection or astral projection recess. There's another expression that I put when you can no longer have astral projection, something like this. And then I gave a more detailed explanation. But here I want briefly to add that when we have in a phase of our lives, we have a certain architecture of our everyday life. So let's say, just for the sake of the argument here, that you are finishing university, your environment, the places where you used to go, the way you would feel life, how you would react towards the problems we have in life, that we have challenged, we have to take care of things. But they were in a way that your commitment, I'm just guessing as an example, because that is the example of many people, okay? So that's why I'm saying it, Ivan. But let's say that your commitment, your worry was, I need to complete this study. Well, I need to be good at surfing. I want to learn surfing, whatever. And the other stuff that would be there. But they tend to allow you more inner space to let go. It's almost like when we go to bed, we think the day is done. With time, we tend to be more attached to the physical problems, physical life. So it's like, I have to pay the bills. Oh, now I need to buy a new car. Now, well, it's the income tax period. Oh, now, well, I'm going to get married, and then it's going to change my life. And sometimes it's not only the internal way of dealing with life, because life changed. It's not that we only changed, life changed. But sometimes it's the actual, as I said before, architecture of life. You change where you work, your energy will change completely. You change who you are close to, like you change your group of friends, or you have a new person close to you, a new girlfriend, a new boyfriend, that automatically changes also very much your energy and what's related to. You change houses. You change the city you are living in. Again, that changes your energy field and the structure of your energy. So it's a little bit about your life routine, a little bit about the energy field of yours, and a little bit about how you feel about things of your life. A tiny shift in that balance, tiny shift, one that sometimes you cannot even control, may produce this that you are telling me here. You had loads of experience. You were good at producing them. You could have them at will, and then bam, they are gone. And you feel like, I can no longer create inside of me the right mindset for me to produce again those controlled, conscious experiences that I used to love. But now you consider all of these and see what is it that you can adjust, which variable, so you can bring it closer to what you had before. And think about your inner posture at the moment you are doing the technique. You have to put your head in the pillow and think, now, if I were dead, it would be the same for me, because I don't need the physical body right now. I can let go of the physical body and physical worries. Easy said, not so easily done, right? But that's towards the line that I think, the strategy that I think could help you. Does it make sense to you, Ivan? You can comment later here. We do not have so many people live here with us, so we can chat, kind of. Good. Mohammed, a question. Thank you for highlighting question here, Mohammed, in your text. It helps a lot. So it says here, thank you for the topic. Wonderful. I'm glad you liked. Is it is sure that we enter into the physical dimension when we get out of the body? How can we avoid confusion with a remote viewing, which seems very similar? So you have two questions here, right? One is, how can we be sure that we are going to return? I have different angles to answer that. Number one is we are not that sure of anything in our lives. We are not even that sure that the sun is exactly as it was the day before. We are not that sure that we are not going to be hit by a meteor. And in 3 days, Earth no longer exists. So it depends on the level of certainty you want to have. But what I can tell you is that is very, 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 very much more certain than that you are going to be alive in a month. And look, I'm talking about physical body. Why? In a month, we can get ill, we can have an accident, we can, any small thing can hurt us. Sometimes I think about that and I say, it's scary because we are so resilient, we human beings, the human species, but we are so fragile at the same time. If we fall in the wrong way, if our body gets off balance for any reason in terms of the biochemistry of the body, if we hit something, we cut ourselves. It's a protection that we have that is not that strong. But this has an important role because whilst our body is kind of vulnerable, but at the same time resilient, let us think that reflects a lot on the structure of our subtle energy, energetic interface that connects physical body and non-physical body, our chakras, all of our energy body, all of that reflects exactly this condition we are in as human beings in a human body. Because we are sensitive, but we are resilient. We keep going. Things happen in a energetic and non-physical spiritual way. Sometimes we don't even notice. Sometimes we do, but we keep going. We go to bed. We sleep. We do not know who, in terms of spiritual presence, is close by. We do not know in our dreams what sort of energy or idea we are going to connect with when we dream. Still, we go to bed and we fall asleep. So, look what I'm saying. All of these are uncertainties. However, when we think of leaving the body, as far as the theory goes at this point, and it's a theory that remains valid for many decades, because many people outside the body have already seen others projected without lucidity. Also, in many cases, we may wake up when we are already outside the body, finding out that we were already out, but we were kind of sleepy, dreaming, groggy. So, what does that mean? It means that the out of body experience is a natural mechanism. It's going to happen. Either we want it or not. But it's going to happen in very specific moments. Though the moments when it happens usually are the moments when we are in very deep relaxation, brain waves in a very low activity, and therefore it's easier or unavoidable for us to detach, which does not mean we are going to observe it happened. We are not going to recognize, be lucid. We are kind of unconscious. We shut down our awareness and then things happen. So if this theory is correct, and as I said, everything points to it for many, 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 many decades, every author talks about it. And in my experience, I've never seen anything whatsoever to even consider that is not how it works. But if then that's the case, we leave the body without awareness, without being able to know what's going around, without being able to know exactly who is going to be close by. I'm not going to say where we are going to go to because most of the times we are just floating around the body. We do not go very far because we are unconscious. But what's around? What can get close to me? Still, look what's my point here. Still, everybody wakes up in the morning. Is that right? You wake up, I wake up, everybody wakes up. So coming back to the body seems absolutely natural and automatic, even if it is in spontaneous out-of-body experience. Now comes our research and my experience and the experience of all of the instructors of the International Academy of Consciousness, where I teach courses. So my experience goes that the really hard thing that we have to do is to remain lucid outside the body for longer period of time. So returning quickly, oh, that is easy. Actually, if you are just starting to float and you snore too hard, you hear yourself and you may return. Or if your energies are not very loosened, you start to try and move and you are kind of in a slow motion and gets confusing, you return. If you are flying in a wonderful condition and you think, oh, and I know my body is there in that bed that I know, the moment you think of it, bam, you come back. Any little change in our attention, in our level of lucidity outside the body, or in our emotions, bring us back. So all of these in terms of what we experience outside the body, but also the logics of things, people wake up every morning, it tells us, yes, it is sure that we will enter the physical body afterwards. As sure as that you are going to reach your workplace tomorrow. No, actually, I'm being unfair. Much more sure than the fact that you are going to reach your workplace tomorrow. But 100%, it's hard. With the, we can even dispute: are we really here? So there are many things. But yes, sure, that is the least of your worries in terms of living body. The hard point is what we are discussing here: how to be conscious, how to manage to get there. Okay, and then you ask how to avoid confusion with a remote viewing. Remote viewing may feel very similar. You are right. I have a whole video giving you tips how to distinguish one from another. But in my experience, when it's a remote viewing, I am very conscious that I am inside the body. So it's almost like I'm here, my awareness is here. So me as a consciousness, I am here, and I am seeing something. Sometimes I can even control if I want to see further, like in a curve, like down the corner, around the corner of a place I'm seeing. I can control that, but I am here controlling it, as if I were like visiting another planet. So, missing here the name I wanted to say, but you are there. So you are with a robot observing something that is out there. So that's more or less this. So the vision is there as if we were controlling a robot. So that is pretty much the remote viewing. You have to observe what is the point of your awareness. The point of your awareness is there. That's more probably an astral projection. Okay, but we need time, right, to adjust. Hi, Eric. I'm glad you joined us. Thank you. Herbert is telling us here, I tend to lie down and then I try to do VELO. Right as I lie down, and then I wake up realizing that I lost consciousness. When we are lying down, sometimes we just fall asleep, right? But let me ask you something, Herbert. That happens in the evening when you are going to sleep, you are tired, or that would happen anytime that you try and do VELO? That happens only when you do VELO lying down because you relax too much, or if you tried sitting up, would also happen the same. There are different possibilities and different things here. And you have to check, is that just because I'm tired? Just because I relax too much? Or is there anything that interferes with my lucidity? So I grow to a certain point, and when I get there, my lucidity just goes down. Could there be some sort of energy or energy block in my chakras producing it? Because sometimes it is the case, but there's no way to know unless you observe these aspects I am talking about. By the way, I have already mentioned with you guys here that I am concluding the revision of a course I created on how to do VELO. But it's the step by step. It's just like the really what you have to do to be able to know you are doing correct and to have more results. I hope to have it soon. When I do, I'm going to announce here in the channel, so you will know. But for this sort of question, everything will be contemplated there. When is it a problem or not? What you should do? What sensation is normal, not normal? But the important thing is trust and move your energies and do your best, because research we have done shows us that the results are amazing even when the person is not sensing very clearly yet. The last research, or the most recent research we have done, it was done by my sister, Nanci Trivellato. She is the current president of the IAC. We have great affinity in our interests, so it's very nice to have a family member in the same study. But she did a very fantastic research. I asked already her, let's talk there in the channel live, get questions and show what you have done. She will. She's just moving countries. So soon she will be here with us. Okay? And that will be clear. Thanks, Herbert. And you are saying you are going to try the strategy I shared with you. Good. And then Peter is here asking a question. Is there a difference in a quality of OBE if we leave the body consciously compared to that when we wake up during the night in the physical body and I can push myself out? No, there is no difference. If you are lucid out there, there is no difference. And I want to add one more thing here, because you said one in which you live consciously from the beginning, or you wake up in the middle of the night and then you will to go out and you manage to. And I will include a third thing here that you did not include. That is, what if you wake up when you are already outside the body? Meaning, you have not noticed that you disconnected. You have not sensed the separation. But when you are out there, where am I? Look, I'm floating, I can fly. Try different things so that you test. I already suggested to some people, look at your hands and try to make it glow, or try to stretch your arm. You pull it, you touch yourself. Make something for you to be conscious of the moment. So if it happens that you are in a lucid projection without ever realizing you detached, or without ever willing to go out, so it was spontaneous, it's all the same. As long as it's lucid, go for it, learn, try different things, and remember that you would like to remember the experience, because sometimes we have this experience, but we don't remember later on. So recalling the out-of-body experience is a huge chapter. We have a whole class in the consciousness development program only to teach this, because there are a number of techniques that we can do inside the body and outside the body, but that requires that we understand many of the mechanisms of the out-of-body experience so that we can apply them properly. But some tips, I have already here a video sharing some tips here in the channel, and we can discuss tips in the future if you want, but that is key. Very good question. Thank you. And then Michelle. Hi, Michelle. She's asking here. ID is asking me where I am from. I'm from Brazil, but I have been living outside of Brazil for 25 years. I lived in different countries. So my accent is a mix of many things. And nowadays, because I use Portuguese a lot, and I speak Spanish a lot, and I speak English a lot, I feel I don't speak any of them very perfectly, but I'm glad I can communicate. That's it. Thank you. And then I have Michelle here asking us, once I got detached by floating, but suddenly I felt something pushing my astral leg, and then I got back to the body. Was it another consciousness? Felt like it. Does the VELO help? It could be another consciousness, could be a different process. I'm going to discuss both, but in any of them, VELO helps tremendously. Both if you do it before and you get prepared to avoid these, but also if you do that in the very moment that you are sensing this, okay? You guys need to remember that you can do VELO when you are projected outside the body. For those of you who are here with me for the first time and you hear VELO, so that is a technique in which we control our energy inside of our bodies to produce an activation and self-defense. If you take a look, I have many videos discussing about that. But what happens here is you are floating and you felt something pushing your leg. What I would normally conclude, that is the most common, is that you had a jerk when you had a big traction of the silver cord or of the energies in the area of the leg. So you are still detaching. Your whole energy body is at a certain level of looseness. It's flexible up to a certain point. So this chakra and this and this and that. So all the thousands of chakras, right? And there is something in the energy that is slightly different there in the area of your leg and especially feet usually. And then we may feel that that part doesn't connect. So it could create like this. Sometimes it can also be a consciousness, for good or for bad, lucid or non-lucid, positive or not positive. And then you have to check what reaction you had in terms of your energy. What that feeling produced in you and in your energy. You cannot be scared. If you are scared, you cannot analyze. Because if we are scared, our analysis is that's not good. But if you are not scared, you can analyze. From the way I feel what you are describing, I don't think you were scared. But then you are going to sense if it is a mentor, a positive spiritual presence, like a spirit guide or something like this, trying to help you be conscious. I just find it a little bit strange because you are already going out, you are already conscious. But sometimes there could be a presence that try to activate one of our chakras, and we feel like this to make us more lucid. That's not what happened here. What happened is that you returned. So that confuses me a little. Could be a consciousness not so positive trying to prevent you, yes, but the only way they could prevent you is via making you scared of leaving the body, or in that very moment just producing that energetic reaction that made you suddenly come back. If it were this case of a not so positive spiritual presence there, non-physical presence, what you do is that you do VELO and you emit energy and you will continue detaching. You see, if you react in terms of energy, immediately you have a chance of still detaching. Perhaps not immediately, because you will handle that situation. You will readjust the energetic connection to your body, but you can leave the body again and be conscious. But if that surprises you, if it's not a good energy and that pollutes you, and then you have to cleanse that. So it's not only you recognize it's not a good effect on you and you work with energy immediately. That requires experience. If you had to fully come back and work with energy to cleanse that, perhaps you are not going to leave the body anymore because when we come back, it's harder to leave immediately when it is in such a condition. But if you came back and the energy were in the right condition, you detach immediately afterwards. There are projections in which we come back and live again, come back and live again. But my bet here would be that that was an energetic reaction. Why would that be in this way? If you had done VELO, if you do more VELO throughout the day or right before, the energies get more even throughout the activation of all the chakras, the looseness and flexibility, malleability of the energy of all the chakras, they get even. So it's smoother, the disconnection from the body. But as I said, even if it's in the right moment, you can do it to help you disconnect. Sometimes when you are half out, you do VELO. Sometimes it reconnects you because it changes the type of reaction it was producing, the type of integration that the energies were having in our physical body. But that's not a bad thing if it is for you to come back, continue working, and get energy more loose and go out again. But that is a bad thing if it's a perfect projection. And you do VELO to try to speed up the process. VELO is best done before or as a technique. You go and you do VELO, 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 until you no longer feel your body, until you start feeling your energy like vroom, 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 vroom. Then you leave the body with VELO as a technique. This video here that we did today was to discuss concentration at the moment we are detaching the body. So you please, Michelle, if you start watching the video after we started, you go back on the replay and you watch the beginning of it. Because then you will see this thing of concentrating or not, where you should focus your attention to have higher chances of disconnecting consciously. Okay? Thank you. Ron is asking here, do you think that it's possible to wake up to being the one consciousness beyond all past lives and all karma? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Ron. Do you mean wake up as in becoming lucid, becoming enlightened? Or do you mean wake up in a projection outside the body? I will just comment on this because I do not understand fully what you are asking, but there are two different angles here. One is it possible that we wake up or find ourselves in and out of body experience with a cosmo consciousness, as if we feel we are one with the cosmos, we are pure connection, we can see everything? That is possible. We call that expansion of consciousness, sometimes cosmo consciousness, expansion of awareness. So these phenomena can happen both when we are outside the body, which is much more common, and sometimes when we are detaching, and more rarely when we are still inside the body. So in that case, yes. But can we all of a sudden, bam, wake up and get rid of all karmas? I don't see any evidence of that whatsoever. Because of how I see people in between lives, when they are, in that period, they passed away. How I see people who are being reborn, what I see in the different dimensions or layers in the non-physical dimension, in the spirit world, what I see in my projections, what I see in my past life recalls. I have very few of them, but few that were remarkable for me. They gave me important tips. So when I observe and I see all that, no, we evolve in a slower pace. The problem is that our lucidity here is reduced. We don't remember everything we did, but it's not what we did, everything we have learned. We do not know what we still have to learn. How can we get rid of all karma in a sense that all of a sudden we know everything and we are pure perfection, if we do not know what is it that we still have to learn? Because if we knew, we would be conscious of it, but we are not yet conscious of all of the reality. How do I know it? Because I see environments outside the body in which the level of lucidity, understanding, balance is much beyond anything that I could manifest in my everyday life. And it's going to take a while for me to get there. It makes me happy, not sad. It makes me happy because I know when it's done, whenever that is, whichever process we take until we get there, it's going to be truthful. It's going to be valid. It's not going to be only superficial or close to who I am now. I'm still going to be much better. So that gives me hope, but also helps me see the moments in which I think I could manifest a better angle of myself. All of us, we have things that we would like to be better, right? And with time, we manage to go perfecting, but we go a step ahead, and then we see more things that we could be better at. And then we see more things that we should develop more. And that's a process. Great. As long as we do our best, it means when we die from this life, we are going to go back to our hometown better than we left last time. Does it make sense? That would be the best. And then I'm going to get two more questions and stop. Okay, guys? And I think I have two more questions here. Um, Herbert again is asking, would the area of the city that I live impact the possibility of projecting? Absolutely yes. Absolutely. I even have videos that I have done specifically about that. An old historic area with old buildings full of bars and people focusing on heavy sensations like sex, drugs, and alcohol, that disturbs. Because Herbert is the person that told me in the beginning that you had lots of experience in the past, right? If I'm not mistaken, I read some of your questions. Because when we are more sensitive and we do not know, of course, we have a natural self defense. But when we have these energies around, it tends to create an atmosphere like an energetic matrix, an informational pattern that does not favor our possibility to go through all the process to being fully conscious outside the body. And sometimes, I'm not saying it is, but sometimes, depending on the area, we may feel it draining. Draining meaning it's almost as if we do not wake up as vitalized. Our vitality is not at its best. We survive, we hang in there, we live, we are not sad or depressed, but we are not shining either. Something kind of stops us from being our full potential of energy. So you observe all that, but most definitely the answer is an easy yes here. You can try and create a stronger energy field around yourself, doing more VELO so that you are completely dissonant, detached from these energies. You can also try and create a barrier, more than just cleansing your bedroom. You have to create what I call a multidimensional force field. So it's a force field like in the sci-fi movies, but of course made of bioenergy, subtle energy. And that would prevent all of this. But I'll tell you, if the place is really contaminated and if it's all over, it's going to be so much energy, work, and time for you to build that and only to keep yourself cleansed that sometimes better dedicating the time to finding a different spot to live. But you can do that by working on your energies and on your house until eventually you may get back the projections. And then I have Gabrielle. Hello from Mexico. Hi, Gabrielle. Glad you are joining us from there. See you then next time. By the way, those of you from Mexico and other places that you speak, other countries you speak Spanish, I'm opening a channel in Spanish. I'm crazy, guys. I'm absolutely crazy. Don't tell me. But I want to share. And I know some people do a big effort. They listen to my videos in Portuguese and try to understand. And so some are very comfortable with Portuguese, very comfortable with English. And I don't think I have to speak Japanese or Chinese or Korean or Russian to attend the whole world. But I feel an obligation to communicate with people that they speak the language that I can communicate with. So that is the idea there. I'll try to find ways. So I have a question here from Rodagast that I will answer. And he says, is it true that the astral body can't pass itself like you can't push your finger through the palm of your hand as in a lucid dream? It is true. You try and hold your hand and you hold it because your hand, this one, is in the same density level as this one. That is the same reason if that allows a non-physical consciousnesses, like a spirit, someone you encounter in a projection, if they are exactly in the same level of density you are, in the same layer of the non-physical astral dimension, they can touch you. Of course, we do not sense as here. So you are not going to sense cold hands or warm hands. You are not going to sense a heat. You are not going to sense you touch yourself and then you can press. No, but you see that you can hold it. It's interesting, right? Try all of you guys and do this experiment. See how you sense your own body. Hope I answered your question. I keep saying it's the last one, but I keep seeing your questions and I love them. Can you hang in there for a few moments more? Yes? Please allow me to have some water. Mike. Hi, Mike. He's asking, what do you suggest for people who have been successful before, but nowadays have a stressful routine and can't find a time to practice a precise technique? You need to see there are many tips of I already answered other questions about same thing. If you are starting the video now, rewatch because there are important tips. Here, there is something that comes to my mind, specifically for something in the way you say it or how I interpret or how I feel it, that tells for you to observe. If what's happening is really just a stressful routine, or if there is some energetic, non-physical component aggravating a busy routine that has some inherent stress to it, but making it to a point that you cannot find an internal space in your mind, in your energy body, in yourself as being, to try and meet yourself outside the body. Enjoy a moment that you would be sleeping anyway. Let your body sleep and go live something that's going to make you more lucid, more energized, more vivid, more concentrated throughout the day. So you see, I think you have to see here, is it really only the routine? Is there anything aggravating? Is this possible to perform a VA? You mean astral travel? And is this, I don't know what means VA. During a meditation, I think you meant astral travel, right? What praxis can help us? I have the impression I produce a state where I really feel a detachment between consciousness and the body. Yes, it's possible. Many people, when they meditate, because of the deep relaxation, the calm in their minds, they get vibrational state. They may have remote viewings. They may have perceptions of non-physical presence. They may have energy sensations in their bodies, and of course in the energy body, but they sense in the body. And they may also have connections from the body, full astral projection, just the beginning of it. This only happens when the person is with the energy more flexible and has some predisposition into it. So absolutely, it's possible, but if it happens in this way, what about you using that time to try to practice a technique to leave the body? Because meditation helps a lot, but if you have one out of body experience in which you are lucid, it's going to be worth 10 meditation sessions. I love meditation, but sometimes the objective we can reach it faster with different things. So see, is the meditation to calm your mind, to seek for enlightenment, to reduce stress, to improve your energy? What is it for? And then you know when is it that you try a meditation technique or you try an energy technique, depending on the day, on what you need in that day. Sometimes an energy technique is going to take you much farther and safer, because many people, they do meditation, they have some energies close to them, some customary non-physical presence, spirit close to them, they do not know how to recognize because it's always there, and they're open. They are somehow putting themselves in a state of vulnerability. Of course, we assume those who are there have good intention, but good intention is not always enough. We want someone with high ethical level to be with us. So I'm not saying, so it varies from person to person. I'm bringing here ideas so that you see what is more pertinent in that morning, if you do it in the morning, or that evening, or how can I blend other things. But the answer is here also an easy yes for your question. Thank you, Eric. I'm going to get to the last question, and now it's truly the last one. Let me see, what time is it? It's almost 8, so we are like 1 hour and a half here, right? So I'm going to have a last question. That is, I see it's related to pregnancy, so I'm curious to see what it is about. It's Richard Akio and Andrea. So I assume Andrea is asking, right, if you were pregnant. Okay. When I was pregnant 5 years ago, from my second child. I was sleeping and I felt some intrusion in the level of the sacral chakra. My baby felt that and he pushed me very hard. Why it happens? I cannot answer why. I can answer what normally allows it, because the why would mean that there is a very precise cause and it varies from person to person. One thing that I want to tell you is that is not uncommon to happen once in a while. So you had an intrusion in the level of the sacral chakra. I mean, you mean the root chakra, right? Related with the sexual energies, which is not sex, but it's energy from our sexual manifestation. So that can happen because in a certain moment, some kind of non-physical presence approach us. Is that because you were more lucid while you were pregnant? You never had that before. It was the only time. That is important for us to know. And how far you were in the pregnancy, just small details. But here we have to see, was did you go to any place different? Was any sort of energy attached to you that was different? You have to observe so many angles here that I cannot dare to answer these questions without reducing what it really needs for us to address that. Because it could be related to the consciousness who is there as a child. Or maybe that consciousness opened up some specific perceptions or chakra in you. Or maybe you just met someone during the day, or you went somewhere that you came with some different energies that predisposed you to have that. That has nothing to do with you or with the child. I mean, the child, wow, it's a child now, right? It's a consciousness just in a child's body. So, and could it be that because you were pregnant, you were more sensitive, and then you notice something that otherwise you wouldn't? So there are so many things for us to address, and this is just to bring like 4 or 5 possibilities among 20 I could bring. So interesting question, but I don't dare to answer online like this. I do not want to, go to bring you to a type of analysis there that is not appropriate. So because of this, I'm going to take another question. Lazaro is asking, can mediums see and hear through your mind? No. Can spirits do it? No. Can they do it once in a while? Yes. Mediums, spirits, and you as well can do it with other people. So depending on the level of energy coupling we have with someone else, physical or non-physical, depending on the level of sensitivity that the person has and capacity to distinguish one's own thoughts and feelings from what comes from outside. Because for some people, if in a moment they are thinking something very negative, they never stop to think, this is not me. Or if they feel too tired for no reason close to a person, they usually don't stop to think, something is wrong energetically. What they think is, I'm being so unpolite, I cannot even keep my eyes open. So this is something that, yes, mediums can do once in a while, depending on their sensitivity, on their energy connection with whoever is close, on the moment, on the participation or not of other non-physical consciousnesses, but also non-physical consciousness, spirits, can perceive sometimes, depending on all of the same factors, our thoughts, but we can also perceive the thoughts of the spirits and of other people. And there comes the challenge. The real challenge here is, how can we learn to distinguish what are the manifestation, the pattern of expression that is ours? What is it that is inside of us that we have built and learned or have not learned? And the positive points and the points that we still need to improve that are ours. And what is it that it's a mix with the energy of the environment, the place, the city where we live, or of other people close by, or non-physical presences, spirits close by? That here is the key point. Without this capacity to distinguish minimally, right? We are not going to overnight know everything, but little by little, learning how to, getting to do it more and more. In my opinion, that is the key for a lucid expression of our perceptions of multidimensionality, our spiritual being, us as spiritual beings in everyday life, because otherwise it's confusing. And Ande says, I see LA Louv joined us. Louv, right? Nice to have you here. La Louv, perhaps that's how you read your name. Ande is asking here, how can a person prepare their mindset, concentration, excellent topic of this video, for an experience that doesn't exist in the physical plane? Oh, that's a lovely question, and I'm glad to end with this one. We cannot prepare our concentration or our mind or our brain, because if it doesn't exist, then we are not prepared for what we are going to see. However, there are things that we can do. Number one is, and we are talking here about the out-of-body experience. So number one is to understand the mechanisms that operate in the non-physical dimension, in the astral dimension. Because it's amazing, Ande, that each layer, each realm within the non-physical dimension, there are many, and we cannot put numbers to it. We cannot give names to it. We do not have a map, but some of them we can put generic names, and we do have it. But depending on the layer where we are going to have certain type of mechanisms. What we see will have specific structure, specific characteristics, and the type of event, and I'm not talking about what we see or what we hear, the type of event, the type of perception we have of that non-physical place, non-physical community can be totally different. So while we understand how things happen in the non-physical world, it's going to create in our brain almost like a framework for us to be able to handle the recollection that we will bring. The problem is not us interpreting what we see when we are in the projection. Because if we are really, really lucid, our lucidity out there can be higher than our lucidity here. So we know more, we see more, we think faster, everything, we are smarter. So yes, you can see something new and say, oh, so amazing, I never thought this could exist. And then you have at least some theories there for what that could be. But when you enter the body, that is where the problem happens. Because if we do not have a framework in our brain, if we are not prepared to bring some new original ideas, it's an original idea. If our brain does not have space for the original idea and does not have the proper engrams, if we are not with some knowledge and some characteristic inside of us to allow that information to come, then we were lucid and we knew out there. But when we enter here, we say, oh, I was in a spaceship. Oh, I was in a crystal building. Because we are bringing it to something close to what we know. And these two examples I gave is just because they are very common. And therefore, what you need, number one, to study exactly how the non-physical dimension is formed. If you want some tips, you can see here a video that I did, what the spirit world is made of. I think that's the name of the video. And if you want to go further into understanding it, I recommend the Consciousness Development Program. It's 35 hours of explanations that they progress in a way that allows us to go to a point that we normally would take years to get there by ourselves. And the other thing that I recommend is that you try and read different accounts. But I have such a problem with us learning from accounts and reading accounts. Not because I think they are not helpful. I think many people do not know how to learn from other people's experience. You will see that I very rarely tell experiences here in the channel. I have some videos in which I told experience and explained and comment. But I very rarely do, because usually when we hear someone's experience, we tend to, when you read a book and you see a description and in your mind you picture that image. So we tend to create a version of the experience in our mind and to expect to have things according to that version. And each experience is different. I have a video that I entitled How to Learn from Other People's Account or Other People's Experience. So I share some important tips there. But knowing different possibilities and therefore knowing how people experience things, that is helpful because prepares our brain. So that was an excellent question. So we need to have the right mindset, as you said, and it's perfect. Thank you, all of you, for being with me for so long. It's many of you still hanging there here. So I hope to be with you next Saturday. We have a retreat here at the IAC campus. So I'm going to be at the IAC campus in Portugal, teaching a retreat, finally looking at people face to face. And we are going to go through the consciousness development program, but in person and with so much more than the consciousness development program that we can do when we are in person, and especially here at the IAC campus. One day, hopefully, you can be here in one of those. It will be lovely. But I will still try to be with you next Saturday. And I will let you know by Monday, Tuesday, if I will be able to be here. And if I am, I would like to answer questions about anything: energy, mediumship, psychic experience, paranormal experience, physical effects, ectoplasm, self-defense, chakra, anything that is within the area that I am knowledgeable of. So you please, once we conclude here this video, write your questions in the description, and I will come, copy your questions, and I will answer questions from what has already been left here in the channel that I couldn't answer in writing, so I want to answer them. And I'm going to mix one question that have been placed in writing and one of you who is present, and then one there, one of you here. So we are going to have a blend, but it's going to be a video only Q&A. So you bring the topic you want. For those of you who I couldn't answer, please copy your question and leave for me in the comments of the video. See you then. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye, guys.